The first time Andriy heard about the Black Marsh, he was 8 years old. His grandmother told him never to follow lights in the forest. Not blue ones. Not white ones. And especially not red. Those are not lanterns, she had whispered while the stove crackled behind her. Those are not people. And they do not want you to come back. He had laughed then. 20 years later, he stopped laughing. Andriy returned to his native village in Polissia in late October, when the fog rolled in thick and low over the wetlands. The air smelled of damp earth and decaying leaves, the kind of smell that clung to clothes and hair. The kind that followed you indoors. The village had shrunk since his childhood. Half the houses stood empty now. Roofs sagged. Windows were boarded. The old store had closed. Only the church remained active, though the priest had grown silent and thin, as if he were gradually fading into the wooden walls around him. His grandmother's house stood at the edge of the forest. And behind the forest, the Black Marsh. People no longer spoke about it openly. They called it simply, there. As if naming it directly might invite attention. The first night back, Andriy woke at exactly 2:17 a.m. He didn't know why. The house was silent. But outside the window, between the trees, he saw a light. Red. Small. Flickering. Moving. At first, he assumed it was a hunter. Or teenagers from the neighboring village trying to scare someone. But the light did not move like a flashlight. It pulsed. It hovered. It shifted direction without turning. And then it multiplied. 1 became 2. 2 became 5. 5 became dozens. Floating between the trees like embers drifting through water. Andriy felt the same childhood chill crawl up his spine, the one he used to feel when his grandmother lowered her voice and crossed herself before finishing a story. He told himself it was marsh gas. Phosphorescence. Natural. He watched for several minutes. Then every red light stopped at once. All at the same height. All facing the house. He realized they were not random. They were aligned. Watching. The next morning, the village felt different. Quieter than usual. The neighbor, old Petro, refused to meet his eyes. You saw them, Petro said finally, voice dry as leaves. It was not a question. Andriy didn't answer. Petro spat into the dirt. They come when someone returns. Returns from where? Andriy asked. Petro looked toward the forest. From forgetting. That evening, Andriy went into the forest. He told no one. The trees of Polissia are tall and thin, their trunks pale as bones. Moss grows thick on the ground, swallowing footsteps. The deeper he walked, the more the air changed, heavier, wetter, metallic. His phone lost signal within minutes. The forest grew silent. No birds. No insects. No wind. Only the distant sound of water shifting somewhere ahead. The marsh. Then he saw it again. One red light. Closer now. Hovering at eye level. It did not flicker this time. It glowed steadily. As if waiting. Andriy stepped forward. The light retreated. He followed. It led him through trees he did not recognize, across ground that felt too soft, too unstable. Roots twisted like veins under thin layers of soil. The air became cold enough that his breath fogged. Then the forest ended abruptly. And he stood at the edge of the Black Marsh. It stretched wide and endless, water dark as ink, reeds rising like broken spears. Mist rolled low over the surface. The red light hovered above the water. And then it dipped downward. Not sinking. Not falling. Submerging. As if entering something below, Andriy felt something shift inside him. Not fear. Recognition. The water began to ripple. Not from wind. From beneath. Shapes moved below the surface. Tall shapes. Human-shaped. Standing upright in water that should have drowned them. Dozens of them. And in the center of the marsh, barely visible through the mist, stood a wooden structure. A house. He knew that house. It had burned down 15 years ago. The night his parents died. The memory hit him all at once. The fire. The smoke. The screaming. He had run into the forest that night. Run without looking back. Run until dawn, and when villagers found him, he had told them he didn't remember. But he did. He remembered the argument. He remembered the red glow outside the window before the flames started. He remembered his father stepping outside to investigate. And not coming back. The red lights rose again. All of them. From the water. And now Andriy understood. They were not lights. They were eyes. Burning beneath the surface. Watching. Waiting. The shapes in the water began to move. Not walking. Gliding. Toward the shore. Toward him. And behind him, in the forest, he heard footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. Closing in. He turned. Between the trees stood figures made of fog and shadow. Their outlines unstable, shifting like smoke. Villagers. People he recognized. Old Petro. The priest. His grandmother. But their faces were wrong. Blank where eyes should be. And from the empty sockets, a faint red glow. You left, they whispered. The voices came from everywhere at once. You forgot. The marsh water reached the shore. It should not have moved that way. But it did. Crawling over earth like living tar. The wooden house in the center of the marsh became clearer. Its windows glowed red. Its door stood open, waiting. Andriy understood something terrible then. The marsh did not take people. It kept them. It preserved memory. Guilt. Fear. And when someone tried to forget, it called them back. The figures reached him. Cold hands touched his shoulders. His arms. His face. The red light surrounded him completely now. There was nowhere left to run. The whispering stopped. Silence returned. And from the open doorway of the burned house, a child stepped out. A boy. 8 years old. Himself. The boy looked up. You didn't tell them the truth, the child said softly. The marsh water rose to Andriy's knees, ice cold. You saw the first light. The boy's eyes turned red. And you followed it. The memory shattered open fully. There had been a red light outside that night. He had followed it into the yard. His father had followed him. The house caught fire after. But not from accident. From the marsh. It had marked him first. The figures pulled him forward. The ground beneath his feet dissolved into water. He did not fight. Because he understood. The marsh does not punish. It completes. The last thing he saw before the surface closed above his head was the red lights dimming, satisfied. And in the distance, on the road leading into the village, headlights appeared. Another car. Another return. The fog rolled in thick. And the forest waited.